Shut up and sit down.
Welcome into another episode of No One Asked Us. He's Craig Choate. I'm Logan Lee. Thanks for joining us. We got a lot to talk about today. Don't forget, give us a follow on all our social media at No One Asked Us Pod. He's at Craig W. Choate. I'm at The Logan Lee. We're on Facebook now at No One Asked Us Pod. Instagram as well. If you're watching this, wherever you're watching this on YouTube, like it, please. Subscribe, all those things. Subscribe if you're listening to us on Apple, on Spotify. That way you know when we're sending out new shows. Had a really good show yesterday. Our Selection Sunday live stream reaction show, essentially, lasted about an hour long, kind of recapping the bracket, talking about Illinois' road to the Final Four, giving our picks, talking about some of my bracketology stuff that I've been focusing way too much of my time on over the last few weeks. That was a fun show, and I know a lot of people have already tuned into that. So if you are interested, take a look at that. That show's already on our YouTube and our Spotify and Apple and all that stuff. We won't dive too much into the bracket stuff today because we just did that show. We will kind of gloss over a few things, but if you are looking for the deep dive and you haven't tuned into that yet, head over there and check out that show as well. Craig, how are you? You good?
Good. I'm good. I'm awake.
It's good. It's good to see you. I'm glad you woke up for the party. I've been just sitting here, just twiddling my thumbs, waiting to start because, this is about the time that we usually start our shows. And radio silence from Craig from Louisville. That was my guess. My guess is that you were asleep or you had some sort of dog emergency that you're also, we've talked about this. You're also just really bad at texting me sometimes and texting a lot of people. Yes. Apparently I'm not the only one.
I thought about lying to you and saying I was like walking the dogs or out with the dogs or something, but I told you the truth. I was taking a little nappy.
That reminds me, I do have another segment for the show we might have to include today. But hey, we're here. Craig is here. Logan's here. We're going to talk about sports and other things and all that stuff. First off, let's start with our moment of the week, as we have been doing a lot of recently. Craig, what's your moment of the week?
What does your shirt say?
Calbritos Maldichos. This is the
South Bend
Hispanic. Yes, the South Bend minor league initiative to incorporate Hispanic teams and things. Okay. I got this shirt right before baseball shut down in 2020. So I did actually get to wear it to one game when they actually wore the jerseys. So repping this, whatever this is. I don't even know if they're still doing it or not, but right, cool. Shout out South Bend Cubs. Anyway, moment of the week. What you got for me?
A certain golfer that I think you might have heard of. I know I know you're not well versed in the sport, but a certain Eldrick Woods, also known as Tiger.
El Tigre?
He is now a Hall of Famer. He went into the World Golf Hall of Fame last week, one day, or I think it was during the week last week. Nothing crazy about it. I mean, we all knew it was going to happen. He's been the best golfer in the world since 1995. So knew it was going to happen. It's always a weird feeling when someone that's still playing the sport gets into the Hall of Fame. I think because we're so used to, baseball, you have to be 5 years out, right. Football, 5 years out, all that. But yeah, he's got 82 PGA Tour wins, 15 majors, including 5 Masters. Nothing special about it, just the fact that it happened. That is not the reason I'm wearing red and black today. I just noticed that. But yeah, it was cool to see. His kids were there. His son was in the crowd, and his daughter, Charlie, I think. No, Charlie's his son. Sam is his daughter. Introduced him and gave a little speech to give him the award and all that stuff. So a cool moment, cool to see. I watched some of his speech, and it wasn't great. Wasn't pulling at any heartstrings. There were some moments that were interesting and brought you back. But yeah, just a Cool moment for Tiger. Favorite athlete growing up, probably from that 1996 to 2008, 2010 era. So yeah.
Good for Tiger. He was obviously going to be a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer in my book.
Does he win another major?
I think so.
Really?
I think so.
You remember he almost he had a catastrophic car accident a year ago.
I know.
Okay. I don't think he does.
I'm going to say he does. I don't really know why. But
can you see? Are you able to see what this is?
I can now that you're pointing it out. I hadn't actually paid attention. It looks like it's a picture of Tiger.
It's the Sports Illustrated cover after he won the Masters, the most recent time.
Okay.
I've been meaning to for a long time to get it put in like a shadow box or something, but for now it just sits there, and I never know if people can see or recognize what's on the bookshelf behind me. But now that I say it, you can tell what it is.
When you pointed to it, I can tell it's Tiger.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought you were going to point at whatever the 18 hole is up there.
Oh no, that's from the PGA Championship when it was in St. Louis.
Can you tell what's behind me?
Bunch of movies and what are the Funko Pops? Is that what those are called?
Can you tell what this one is?
I can't.
That's weird. It's Chucky from Rugrats.
Oh, okay.
I just thought you could maybe see the orange. This is not my moment of the week, but speaking of Hall of Fame, did you see that Dolly Parton has removed herself from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame contention? She's apparently eligible or up to be voted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year, and she put this post out, Hall of Fame this year, and she put this post out basically saying, I don't want to be elected into this. I don't feel like I belong. I don't know, something, this whole thing. It's weird. Kind of odd to like remove yourself from a Hall of Fame ballot, but all right, good for Dolly. Good for Tiger. He certainly deserved it. My moment of the week, something we'll talk about more in depth a little later, but we can just kind of breeze right through it right now. Baseball is back. Praise the Lord. I don't really love what they did and how they came to terms. I still feel like the players were kind of forced into something they didn't want to do. But we're going to have baseball here in about a month. So that's great. Actually less than a month. I don't know. When are they starting? The 7th, the 9th, the 7th, something like that?
7th.
Okay, so less than a month. So that's great. Again, don't know that I love everything about it, but we're going to have it, so we can move on from there. We got plenty more baseball to talk a little later on in the show, but let's move ahead to question of the week. Question of the week last week, we went to football because it was a big week in football, another big week this week we'll talk about. But last week we did a show just hours after everything broke with Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. So we asked the question, who has a better next 4 years? And just gave you the two options. Aaron Rodgers, who extended his contract with the Green Bay Packers, or Russell Wilson, who was sent to the Denver Broncos. Who has the better next 4 years? 66% of the voters said Aaron Rodgers, 33% said Russell Wilson. So do you agree with that? Do you say Aaron Rodgers has the best next 4 years of those two?
Probably, yeah. That's where I would lean. He is, I believe, 4 years older. Is that right? I believe Rodgers is 4 years older than Wilson. I do think Wilson has a better year than the last couple he's had in Seattle. I like the Broncos have Javonte Williams in the backfield. They've got Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick on the outside. They did just trade Noah Fant, who was their tight end. Could have been a weapon, but their other tight end is Albert Okwuegbunam from Sacred Heart Griffin in Springfield. So a good opportunity for Albert O to get a starting tight end job with Russell Wilson. And I like the Broncos defense. So I think it improves the Broncos a lot, but I'm going to side with the MVP here and say he continues to play just as well as he has the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, that's probably safe. How do you think the vote would turn out if we did that today and add a third option as being the once retired and now unretired Tom Brady? How do you think he would fare in a poll with the exact same poll with the other two options? How do you think it would go?
I think he would probably get third of the 3 just because I don't think he'll play 4 more years. I think he's got 1 or 2.
Okay. Do you think he? Well, we'll get to Tom Brady later.
Yeah.
All right. So our question of the week for this week is going to be: the Big Ten got 9 teams into the NCAA men's basketball tournament. The Big Ten also has not won an NCAA men's basketball championship since the year 2000 when Michigan State won it. So the question this year: does the Big Ten get an NCAA men's basketball championship this year? Do one of those 9 teams, which includes our beloved Illini, do one of those 9 teams win the national championship? It's a simple question. Simple answer, yes or no. Craig wanted to do wheels or doors. I vetoed him.
Doors.
For those that are in the know,
doors.
I'm sure you have an opinion. But for those that aren't, whatever. So yes, does the Big Ten get an NCAA men's basketball championship this season? That will be the question of the week that we will have up on Tuesday. All right.
Are we going to talk more about that, or should I bring this point up now?
I mean, we're probably going to talk a little bit about the tournament, or wheels and doors. What are you asking?
No, the drought, the Big Ten drought.
Oh, we can talk about it now. Sure, go ahead.
The Pac-12 drought's longer. Why does the Big Ten get so much crap?
The Pac-12 the Pac-12 you cut out. Yeah,
Pac-12 hasn't won one since '97. Arizona.
That's a good point. That's an excellent point. I will counter that by saying I think the Big Ten has been better.
Yeah. That is why. But yeah.
Especially, the last 30 years, I think the Big Ten has been the better conference. I mean, yeah, they've had Pac-12's had their good teams, but I think overall, I think to answer your question, I think that's probably why. Yes, it is fair because they do have a longer drought. I didn't even realize that. Who was their last champion? Arizona. So yeah, all this history about UCLA being this storied program, and they haven't. When was their last championship? Can you tell me that? UCLA. Who? UCLA.
Oh my! Not in our lifetime, I don't think. Certainly not.
Last UCLA men's
did they win one in the
basketball championship?
Might be the 70s.
UCLA men's college basketball championships. 1995. They defeated Arkansas.
Really? Okay.
89-78.
That's about where my college basketball.
Before that, it was 75.
Yeah, 95 is about where my college basketball knowledge kicks in. That 98 Arizona team is one of the first that I remember.
They won. Well, because that's why I made the comment last night about, and I was off because I thought it was older than, the Chattanooga thing. I made the comment about it predating both of us. I didn't even realize it was in the 90s, but it
97,
was before, yeah, it was before I really started paying attention because I look back on that roster and I'm like, I've heard of these names, but I don't remember seeing these guys play. But yeah, UCLA won one in 64, 65, 67, 69, or 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 75, and then 95, and I'm not won one since. So, but yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point about the Pac-12. All right, let's move on. NCAA tournament and Big Ten tournament. As I mentioned, we did an entire Illinois post-game show after they lost to Indiana on Friday, and then we did an hour-plus long tournament preview, bracket reveal, selection Sunday special episode yesterday. So if you want all of that content and you have yet to engulf it into your ears and your eyeballs, you can go find that.
I'll link it below. We will link it below in the event that you haven't already seen or heard that. We will talk about a few things here, though. We're not going to go on to it for very long, but there are a few things we do need to talk about that we didn't talk about yesterday or that we kind of want to recap. So first, let's talk about the Big Ten tournament. You left us on Friday. Illinois had bowed out early after falling. I don't even know how to describe that game. Poorly. To the Indiana Hoosiers, an Indiana team that badly needed that win more than Illinois did. Ultimately, that ended up getting them in the tournament. Thought that another Indiana win I thought that was going to potentially put them into a higher seed, but that win basically got them into the play-in game. So either way, Illinois fell on Friday to Indiana. Later that day, Iowa beat Rutgers. Michigan State upset Wisconsin. I did not feel nearly as bad after Illinois. After I watched Wisconsin lose to Michigan State.
So Michigan State upset the Badgers, and then Purdue beat Penn State, who had beaten Ohio State the day before. So that left us with semifinals of Indiana and Iowa, and Michigan State Purdue. Iowa handled. This is dumb. This is just a little nitpick and an annoyance, but I'm looking at the bracket off of the Big Ten's website. They don't have scores. It's great. I can scroll down and see the scores, but that's why I'm not reading the scores right now. It's because this bracket doesn't give me scores. Whatever. Iowa beat Indiana in the semis, and Purdue got past Michigan State in the semis, setting up the Purdue-Iowa championship game that I know several people had predicted, including people in Champaign Media, which was probably a smart pick. I don't know that I picked that, but it made a lot of sense. Iowa is one of the hottest teams in college basketball. So that was the Big Ten final. Iowa took down Purdue. Iowa, other than that loss to Illinois, has won like 50 straight games or something. I don't know what it is. But they've been incredible. So they take down Purdue. They get the automatic bid from the Big Ten into the NCAA tournament. So before we move on to everything bracket related, general thoughts from you, Craig, on the Big Ten tournament. Did it play out like you expected? Any surprises? Were you happy with anything? Upset with anything? Give me your thoughts.
It was a great tournament. It was 5 days of really good games. I don't know of many blowouts. Maybe the first 2 nights maybe weren't great, but Illinois, Indiana was close.
That was a 2-point game. Iowa beat Rutgers by 10. I can scroll down now and see the scores.
Okay.
Wisconsin won by 6. Purdue won by 8. Iowa beat Indiana by 3. Purdue beat Michigan State by 5, and then the Iowa over Purdue was a 9-point game. So yeah, they were all close, all good games.
Very, very entertaining weekend. Like we said last week, it's a weekend that eventually I'm going to buy all session tickets to and just post up and watch every single one. It's just right now I'm in a mode where I just want to consume as much basketball as possible, and that's hard to do when you're at a game. Like if you're at Gamebridge Fieldhouse watching the Big Ten tournament, you're not going to be able to watch the Big 12 championship or the ACC tournament or anything like that. So didn't do it this year, but it did play out kind of how I expected. Only thing I would have changed would be Illinois making it to at least the semis. I would have loved for Illinois just beat Indiana. And then if you lose up to Iowa, that's okay. But it did play out about how I expected. I think I picked Purdue, Logan picked Wisconsin. Neither of them ended up winning it. But the team that won it, I think, is the hottest team in the country right now. So yeah, it was a good weekend. It was a really good weekend. And the Indiana win allowed the Big Ten to get 9 teams into the NCAA tournament, which is the same as last year, I believe. I believe 9 teams made it last year as well. And they did not fare very well last year. The Big Ten did not. So let's hope this crop of 9 does a little bit better, but it is the most teams, it's the conference with the most teams in the tournament, which is always something to hang your hat on, I think.
So I don't have all the metrics in front of me, but just doing some quick counting. Iowa has won 12 of their last 14 games.
Yeah.
They lost.
Tennessee is very similar to that.
They struggled pretty much in the conference all the way up through January.
Yeah.
They lost back-to-back games at the end of January to Purdue and to Penn State. Since then, since January 31st, they have won 12 of their last 14. They're Michigan February 17th, and then the loss to Illinois on March 6th. Amongst those wins, they beat Ohio State, they beat Michigan State, they beat Michigan, they beat Indiana, and then Purdue in the Big Ten tournaments. So yeah, heck of a run for Iowa. They've I know I'm not supposed to want to root for Iowa. I know they've become like Illinois' like biggest rival, but there's just kind of something about this team that I don't hate as much. Maybe it's just
I know what it is.
That he kind of came out of nowhere, and I'm okay with that. Like it's
exactly what I'm going to say. It's the Murray brothers.
Yeah, like it's not Bohannon or McCaffrey. That whatever. It's the Murray brothers. I mean, they kind of came out of nowhere, and like I don't mind rooting for them. I listened to Seth Greenberg was on Dan Patrick's show today, and he's flat out said Keegan Murray is like it would be his top NBA prospect in all of college basketball right now, and he's just fun to watch. I didn't really think he was going to get Big Ten Player of the Year. I thought that was always going to be Johnny Davis's or Kofi's, but he played himself into that conversation. So that's why it's not because of Fran. It's not because of anybody else. It's pretty much because of the Murray brothers. So they've kind of been fun to watch and fun to root for a little bit. We'll see how the tournament goes. We'll see how it goes.
I think if the Big Ten Player of the Year award went to the best player, it would have been Keegan Murray.
Yeah, that's fair.
But because Wisconsin won it and they were in first, they should have won it outright, but they stubbed their toe against Nebraska. I think that moved it to Johnny Davis. I think the best player in the Big Ten, like Seth Greenberg said, is Keegan Murray. And I almost tweeted it out when the awards came out that my vote would have been for Keegan Murray because the Big Ten Player of the Year should go to the best Big Ten player. But I deleted it. I did the don't press send Herm Edwards thing and didn't do it. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm not in any way rooting for Iowa ever, but I think it's the Murray brothers that make them a team that you can root for, because it's not Luka Garza, it's not Joe Wieskamp, it's not Jordan Bohannon. It's two kids that seem to have their head on straight and a couple good kids and really good basketball players.
What about that potential Sweet 16 matchup of Kansas and Iowa? Will you be rooting for Iowa then?
Oh, no, I won't. I won't. No.
Just curious.
Yeah. I've tried to fill out a bracket 20 times today, and every time I'm like, exit, I got to restart. I don't like this. So I still don't have a bracket.
I filled out one last night pretty quickly, but I haven't touched them since. I'll do a couple more here later.
I've got my knee jerk bracket, like top of head. This is how I feel bracket, but there are a lot of.
You've put the teams on the list on the bracket behind you, so that's pretty great. Real quick though, I just have a question. You brought up you're wanting to, set up camp at Gamebridge Fieldhouse or whatever it's called the next time you go, because I feel like it changes its name every 5 years. Would you rather, and you said you want to go there, buy all session pass, stay all weekend, go to every game. I want to do that too. But my question is, do you want to do that on a year that Illinois is like a favorite? Or would you rather do that on a year that Illinois, not saying that I ever want to see Illinois not be a favorite again, but I know this stuff is cyclical and it'll happen at some point. Would you rather that be on a year where they're like a 9 seed or something and you don't expect them to do anything, so you don't really care? Or would you rather
that would probably be
like, one of the top 3 or 4 seeds and have actually a good chance to win the whole thing? What would you prefer?
That would probably be better. The first option, where Illinois is not really favored to do much.
That's fair.
Because if it would have happened,
you're a nervous.
Would have happened this year. If it would have happened this year,
exactly,
I probably would not have stayed all of Friday. Exactly. And probably would not have gone back Saturday.
You would have gotten pissed and
one of my buddies was there Friday with his dad.
My dad was there on Friday. My dad and my uncle were there.
That's right.
I had a bunch of I had another couple friends that were there. Yeah. I mean, I should have gone. I'm glad I didn't. All right. So that was the Big Ten tournament. Anything else from that you want to talk about? We didn't hit on already. No. Okay, great. I don't even know what direction I want to go here. Let's just talk about the tournament in general. As I said, we've already done the whole selection show episode, but you've now had several more hours to think about it. You just said you haven't filled out any brackets. Have you thought anything more about some of these matchups, any of these teams in particular that you feel a little differently on from last night? Anything like that you want to give the people before the tournament starts on, tomorrow, technically on Tuesday.
Technically, yeah.
But any
not necessarily. It's just a matter of looking through the analytics and stuff. I guess I can pull it up here now that we're on this subject. And I told you this a couple shows ago that I did a bunch of research. Remember when I told you I did a bunch of research?
You're always doing research.
So basically I went through all the Ken Pom era, and I looked at all the Final Four teams and their Ken Pom ranking and their adjusted offense and adjusted defense ranking. So I've narrowed down the national champion. No national champion has been worse than so UConn in 2014 was 39th in adjusted offense and 10th in adjusted defense. But for the most part, every other national champion has been top 15 in both, or close to top 15 in both.
What seed was that UConn team?
They were
low, right?
What year did I say? 2014?
They
were a 7 seed.
That they were pretty low in the Big East tournament too, and then went on.
That year. That would have been Shabazz Napier when he put him on his back. UConn also won in 2011. That was the Kimba year.
Maybe that. Whatever. Either way,
they were 19 and 15 there. So when you're looking for your national champ, it's going to be someone that's top 20 in adjusted offense and adjusted defense both. Right now, Illinois is just outside of that. I think they're 30 in defense and maybe like 22 in offense. So they're just outside of that. I still need to flush through the entire Final Four. But as a rule of thumb, just glancing over this, 80% of the time, the Final Four team is top 25 or top 30 in both.
Okay.
So if you're looking for your national champions or your Final Four teams, that's it. That's kind of a key. They need to be top 10 usually in at least one of the other, and preferably defense. You'll see offensive teams that are in the 40s or 50s in adjusted offense in KenPom. But for the most part, defense, you need to look at about the top 20, top 25 defensively to be a Final Four team. So I'm going to do a little more of that tonight and tomorrow during the day, maybe a little bit when I take quick breaks and stuff. But so yeah, off the top of my head, that would be Gonzaga, Arizona. Duke is actually 44 defensively, so that's not a great number there. Houston, the analytics really love Houston. They're top 15 in both offense and defense, but they didn't get their first quad one win until yesterday. So they really haven't played anybody. So yeah. And also, I paid for KenPom for the first time this year, $20 for the year. That's $20 I spent all season.
I might do that next year. I thought about doing it this year, but I never pulled the trigger on it. But
I mean,
definitely might do that.
And I know it's, the sports world is becoming more and more about the numbers and the analytics. And I can't tell you how much more I've learned about the analytics and what each stat means and what this is and all that in just the past 3 months, just from looking that over. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree. I need to probably look into doing that next year. I just feel like I'm already paying for so many subscriptions. It's just, I just didn't really want to add another one. All right. Let's talk more specifically about the Illini. They get Chattanooga for their first round game. Illinois is the 4 seed. Chattanooga is the 13. We talked about it on the show yesterday. Chattanooga won the SoCon conference on a buzzer beater, kind of kicked off a lot of the madness. So that's how they got out of their conference tournament, and that's why they are in the tournament, in the NCAA tournament. Real quick, just to kind of preview that matchup. You talked about him yesterday. Malachi Smith, their leading scorer. He's averaging 20 points a game. David Jean-Baptiste is the guy that hit that shot against Furman in the SoCon championship. Averages about 14.5 points per game for them. And then Silvio De Sosa, who you mentioned, 11 points and about 7 or so rebounds. He's a true post player. I feel like that's probably a better situation for Kofi. Yes, he's a player that could probably play with Kofi, but it also means that Kofi's not trying to do more and play against somebody that's stretching the floor on him and everything. So I like the matchup. I know everybody can certainly feel.
What'd you say? You like the matchup?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do.
You cut out there for a little bit.
I apologize. Am I back now?
It was just like a quick pause right when you went to say like I do or I don't. It was like just a quick split second. So I was like, wait, which one did he say?
What does he do? That's how it was when you were talking about the Pac-12. I do like the matchup. I also liked the matchups last year too, and that obviously didn't play out well. So
the first round matchup.
The first round matchup was fine. Yeah. Either way, that's who we got. Chattanooga. The game we do now know tip times. They will play Friday night at 6:50 Eastern time. Is that what it is? 5:50 Central.
Yeah,
on TNT. So that will be tip time and TV station for Illinois Chattanooga on Friday. Winner of that gets the winner of Houston UAB. That game will take place later in the evening on Friday. Those games are in Pittsburgh, as we talked about. You needed Tennessee to fall below Purdue. That's essentially what the location came down to. Tennessee, had they fallen below Purdue on the overall seed line 1 through 20, or 1 through 16, had Tennessee fallen below Purdue, Illinois would have ended up in Milwaukee. But because Tennessee jumped Purdue, Illinois is now going to Pittsburgh, which isn't the end of the world. Obviously, location really doesn't matter. The players don't care. They talked about that in their press conference yesterday. Trent said he's not going on a vacation. He's looking to play basketball.
I thought that was a great quote.
Yeah, I did too. Probably a good thing that they're getting out of, not that they're getting too far away from the Midwest or anything, but getting out of the, Wisconsin, Indiana area, just go somewhere else. You'll still have plenty of fans coming over. I don't know if you saw, I was tweeting back and forth with Caleb Griffin last night because
of course he's going to be there.
Kendall Moore from Colorado State's playing in Indianapolis on Thursday, the first game against Michigan. Yeah. So he'll of course be going over to that. And then he's just going to, he's going to continue to just make the drive over to Pittsburgh. So
he must have a private jet or something. At this point, because he was in Denver and Colorado State, and then the next day he's all over the place. Florida.
He was all over the place. But that's what's coming up for. Yes.
Can we talk a quick second about how accurate your boy Logan Lee was on his bracketology? Brag on yourself a little bit.
I did pretty well. Yeah, 67 out of 68, 66%. I will say though, I can't take full credit for that because I think some of those 16s I was just kind of placing like some of the other people were. So I was kind of some of it was guessed, some of it wasn't great. But yeah, I did pretty well. So shout out me.
For reference, Logan, like he said, he hit 67 of 68 and got 66% of the seeds right.
Yeah.
Joe Lenardi also hit 67 of 68, but he got 56% of the seeds right. So Logan Lee is better at bracketology than Joe Lenardi.
Hire me. I read your book. That's all that matters. But yeah, so
seriously though, that's impressive. Congrats. That's really impressive.
We'll see if I can do it again next year, or if I even want to put in the time to do it. Dude, that was it was a lot of time. Like I applaud those people that do that on like a consistent basis.
I didn't realize
do it throughout the year. Like I don't have a great system. I'm trying to like do spreadsheets and I'm constantly changing numbers. Like I'm sure some of these people like the Joe Lenardis and the Jerry Palms and the Mike DeCourcy's and the Brad Evans of the world. Like they have some sort of system where they get these numbers. I'm sure they have some sort of a system where they get these numbers like automatically inputted to them somewhere. I don't have that. I don't know where they get it. So I was constantly having to change everything. It's a lot of work. The figuring out who's going to make the college football playoff is a little easier than trying to figure out who's going to make the 68 team.
Imagine if the college football playoff went to 68 teams.
Oh, Lord. You know what I was thinking about the other day is if the men's basketball tournament just said, screw the 68, everybody's going to get in, because they already have conference tournaments, which are essentially extensions of the NCAA tournament. So why not just make it one large 352 or whatever team bracket?
Well, here you go. There's 32 conferences, so 32 conference tournaments. Each winner goes into the bracket. Each conference gets one representative. I mean, it would work.
There's something there.
I didn't realize there was a website, bracketologist.com, where it lists out the net and all that stuff. I thought you were having to go like, whew.
No, that's a major help. Getting it. You can also go to the NCAA and they have the net ranking, and you can actually copy and paste all that. So I can copy and paste all that into an Excel spreadsheet. You can have every single team and you can sort it that way, but still, like, you have to do it every single day because again, there are games happening every single day.
Yeah.
And there are 300 some teams that are all eligible to make this thing. And so, if Southern Illinois goes 1-25 in the regular season, they still win the tournament. Like they're still in the national tournament. So, you have to have their numbers too. So
did we talk about Bellarmine?
I didn't know they were in Louisville.
Yep.
I had no idea. Oh, I heard we did not talk about it on the show. So go ahead. Do you want to talk about that whole ordeal? Because you're at least close to the situation. I had no idea what it was.
Everyone down here is talking about it. So Bellarmine University made the transition from D2 to D1 2 years ago. This is their second year in Division I. They joined the Atlantic Sun Conference. So if you're looking at the bracket, the very bottom right team, Jacksonville State, is the 15 seed in the, I don't know what region that is.
What, Midwest.
15 seed in the Midwest. They play Auburn first round. They did not win their conference tournament. They're not an at-large team. They are the Atlantic Sun representative because Bellarmine won the Atlantic Sun tournament, but because this is only their second year of Division I, they are ineligible for postseason. Tell me how that makes sense. There is a 4-year transition period that they cannot make the postseason, but that's not the end of it. When they went into the transition, they were told, they were aware of this rule. Everyone's aware of this rule. It's a stupid rule, but everyone knows about it. That's how it is. They were told that if this were to happen, they would get to go to the NIT. And then after they won the tournament, the NCAA is like, no, you're ineligible for the NIT because the NCAA runs the NIT. So they were ineligible for the NCAA when they thought they were eligible for the NIT. Then after they won the tournament, the NCAA told them that, nope, you're not eligible for the NIT. So then just yesterday, they turned down a bid for the CBI. So they're not going to any postseason tournaments. It's been a cluster.
Yeah. No, I don't love that rule. I don't know why it's in place. I would assume it has something to do with money, would be my guess. Because when you become Division I, you have a certain amount of money that's allotted to scholarships and things. So that's my guess, is that's why that rule's in place. It'll be the same for Southern Indiana now that they're joining Division I.
Which Bellarmine was in the same conference as Southern Indiana.
Yeah. So every school has to go through this to join Division I. So this isn't a new thing. It's just not very common that those teams actually win their conference tournament.
Exactly.
I don't know why that's a rule. As I said, I assume it has something to do with money or scholarships or something. I'm sure there's some sort of competitive disadvantage that the NCAA thinks it's not kosher, but I don't know. I can't really argue that. I didn't even know how that school was pronounced, to be honest with you. And I didn't know it was in Louisville. So, all right. We've been talking about this enough. The last thing, apparently there's a pink eye outbreak amongst the Illini. I don't know that this is something to be concerned about, but Trent Frazier has pink eye, or at least had pink eye. Coleman Hawkins has had pink eye recently, and Brad Underwood has it now as well. So just something to be aware of. It
sounded like they were playing with it Friday.
Yeah, probably. I would imagine if they just said that on Sunday, I think they'd have to have been playing with it on Friday. So we'll see. I doubt that plays a factor in anything, but was there any report on Jake yesterday? Do we know if Jake's playing?
So I watched the press conference. I watched Underwood's press conference last night right before I went to bed. Someone asked about Jake, and his quote, "He's progressing."
Jake's not playing on Friday. It's just
that's all Underwood said.
We talked about this on whatever show it was. I don't know. I like Coleman at the 4, and I think Coleman should stay at the 4. But Jake provides depth that this team does not have right now. They can probably, and he's an extra shooter. They can probably get away with extended minutes for RJ Melendez and Luke Goody against Chattanooga. I don't know. Houston could provide some issues if Illinois is really only going to go about 6 or 7 deep.
I don't know how to feel about Houston.
It's not like Omar Payne's adding much either. So, you're getting a few minutes out of Omar, Melendez, and Goody, but collectively not really enough to make up the difference. Other than that, you're going 6 deep right now. So that's the biggest thing, that Jake they just need Jake back as a shooter, as another body, as somebody that can play the 4, as somebody who's just there. Again, I don't need him to be savior. I think Coleman has been fine at the 4. I think Coleman should stay at the 4 in the starting lineup, but I think they need to have that body. Again, Chattanooga, they might be okay with being able to do it. But Houston, I don't know. I don't know. All right. We have talked plenty about this stuff. Again, if you want more NCAA selection show special, go find that on our YouTube, Spotify, Apple, whatever, wherever you get your podcasts. We talk about all this stuff and more in that show. Real quickly, other college basketball, both the Saluki women and my Murray State Racers. They're not mine, but go Kate. Are going to the women's NIT. Southern lost in the Big Ten, or not the Big Ten, the Missouri Valley tournament to Illinois State, who went on to win the whole darn tournament. They are the 15th seed in the NCAAs. So Southern is going to the NIT. They play at Purdue on Wednesday, pretty close to me. I talked about going to see them play at Notre Dame if they were here, but I don't know how I'm going to make the drive to Purdue. I got other stuff going on this week. And then Murray plays at Vanderbilt on Thursday, both of those in the women's NIT. This will be Cindy Stein's last hurrah with the Saluki women. Whenever they lose this final game or potentially win the whole damn thing in the NIT, that will be the end of her career. So congrats to her. Whew. Okay. Anything else in the world of college basketball that we need to talk about?
I don't think so.
Okay. Great. I saw somebody tweet something about all MVC fans should be rooting for the Valley's tournament team, the Murray State Racers, not Loyola. I just thought that was funny.
It's true. That's true.
It's true. All right,
NBC
moving on.
One bid league.
So we got Loyola. All right, moving on. NFL. NFL season obviously is over, but the off season is really just starting to pick up. It was kind of a ho-hum week already. We had the big news last week about the Bears trading Khalil Mack to the Chargers, getting a couple of draft picks back for him. Thought we were going to just we already had the Rodgers and the Wilson stuff and all that. Thought this week was just going to kind of ease into some things. And then we're sitting here doing our selection so special yesterday. And then Tom Brady scoops in and says, I'm going to let you finish, but I'm coming back. So Tom Brady will be returning to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this season after he said about 40 days ago that he was retiring from the game of football. Apparently he's already had enough retirement. So Tom Brady is back. Craig, what are your thoughts? You excited? You excited for another year? Do you think Tom saw that the NFC quarterback situation wasn't very good and that he could probably win another Super Bowl and just decided, all right, let's go. Let's go.
I mean, when he announced it originally, it was on, I think, a Saturday. And on our show that week, I was like, I don't get it. He's got two more years in the tank. I don't know why he's making this decision. And I think he finally realized that he's like, I'm still one of the best quarterbacks in the football. There's no reason for me to retire and turn down $20 million, however much his contract is. He's going to get double it because I think he's got 2 more years left. So, I mean, I think Dan Patrick said the same thing this morning. I was more surprised when he retired than when he unretired. Yeah,
I feel the same way. This is not what I'm about to say is not an original thought. I think I heard it from Bill Simmons, but it's a good point. He said that he doesn't think Brady wanted to play for the Bucs and/or play for Bruce Arians.
Yep, I've seen a bunch of that today.
He was trying to play his cards and potentially end up somewhere else. Maybe San Francisco is the location I've heard,
or Pittsburgh, or
because something. He was not a free agent, so he was either going to retire or he was going to be under contract by the Bucs. So he might have been trying to play it so that he could get traded to somewhere else, San Francisco or wherever. And the Bucs weren't having it. They said, you're either going to play here, or you're not going to play at all. So he just decided, all right, I'll play. Will Bruce Arians still be the coach? I don't know. It doesn't sound like there seems to be a great relationship there, but either way, Tom's coming back. So I'm glad we did our big farewell episode for him. Did you see the thing about the signed football? Somebody bought his last touchdown pass football.
550,000
for $500,000. Yeah. And now he's going to keep playing. So feel bad for that guy. Maybe Tom will just buy the football back from him. I don't know. But that was certainly again, we're all trying to do our thing here with the selection show. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Everybody's excited. Baseball is coming back. And then Tom Brady says, no, it's my time.
Couldn't he, if he would have waited till this afternoon, perfectly fine. But right in the middle of the selection show, and everyone's talking about their bracket.
Well, he announced he was retiring during like the Super Bowl, right? Or
it was the Sunday before the Super Bowl. It was a Saturday. It was the day before the Super Bowl.
It was like, yeah, exactly. So he doesn't
attention whore.
Yeah, he whatever. Good for him, I guess. Yeah, he certainly still has another football season in him or two. Do you think let me ask you this.
I think their Super Bowl odds went from 40-1 to 20-1.
Do you think, two questions. One, do you think he gets another Super Bowl before he actually retires?
No.
Okay. Well, my second question was going to be, do you think he retires a Super Bowl winner or not? Meaning, like, if he wins the Super Bowl this year, will he just retire at that point? Do you think that was part
that
of
I could see?
Do you think if the Bucs won the Super Bowl this year, that he would have retired and been done? Or do you think
I could see that
he feels like they had a shot to win that thing, so they want to go back and do it again?
I could totally see him, if they win a Super Bowl, being all right, now I'm done.
So anyway, Brady's back. Right now he's on the Bucs. Unless they trade him, I doubt they're going to do that. Maybe they do. Who knows? But right now he's coming back. And he's a Buck. The other big news today out of the NFL, Mitch Trubisky, your boy, Mitch Trubisky, going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Former Bears and where was he? Buffalo?
Backup.
Yes, he was Josh Allen's backup. Former Bears great, Mitch Trubisky, is now the replacement for Ben Roethlisberger. Steelers fans around the world are celebrating. They're not. Yeah, so that was the other big news today.
He's better than what Roethlisberger's been the last 2 years.
No, I agree. I think Mitch has gotten a bad rap. I think
100%.
I think he had some issues in Chicago. Might have been him, might have been the coach. Whatever the case may be. I don't think he's quite as bad as what the media wanted to make him out to be. I don't think he's an all-pro quarterback, but I think with the right team, I think he's a manageable quarterback that can win you some games. So
he will take the Steelers to the playoffs this year.
I think that's probably true. I think they got enough around him, and Roethlisberger, as good as he was in his prime, that was not the same player we've seen the last, as you said, 3 or 4 years. So
he took Matt Nagy and the Bears to 2 playoff appearances. He can for sure take Mike Tomlin and the Steelers to the playoffs.
Nickelodeon player of the game, didn't even win the game, but he got slimed. So yeah, that's the news from the NFL. I think, was there anything else in the NFL?
I mean, there have been a ton of free agent signings today and trades. Nothing you got major. Khalil Mack on the rundown. I think he's fizzled out in Chicago after the first year or two he was there. He hasn't really been as much of an impact. So yeah, he goes to the Chargers for whatever. But yeah, there have been a couple other moves, but none that I don't think are as big as those.
Yeah. All right. Major League Baseball is back. We talked about that at the top of the show as my moment of the week. They came to some sort of an agreement to have a temporary contract between the players and the owners. So they're going to play baseball this year. They're going to start baseball games. They're heading to spring training now. Spring training just started today. Excuse me, I'm really thirsty. And the season will start on April 7th. So the past few days have been pretty busy because if you remember, for those that kind of forgot where we were, baseball's just kind of up and stopped right in the middle of free agency. So there were a few deals that had happened before the lockout started, but then since then it's been all quiet. So there's been plenty that's happened the last few days that I think we will touch on here real quickly though. And I'll be honest, the Cubs signed and extended David Ross, their manager.
Didn't see that.
Yeah, well, it happened yesterday. Not a big deal. But my first thought was, I kind of forgot David Ross was the manager.
Me too.
Because like everything I've seen baseball related, if I've seen anything, has just been about the owners and how they suck, and Carlos Correa and where these free agents going to go and who's going to get traded. I've not seen David Ross's name come across my Twitter timeline, and I follow a lot of Cubs people, and I'm not kidding you, months, like 5 months. I have not seen the guy's name. So I had honestly forgotten that he was the Cubs manager, and this is coming from a big Cubs fan. So that was just kind of weird when I saw that.
Who's the Cardinals manager?
They just thought, well, it's not Mike Schilt. Who did they sign? What's the guy's name? I don't remember.
It was the bench coach, Ali Marmol.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's not
Skip Schumacher is now the bench coach.
It should have been Albert Pujols.
Hey, they're in talks with him. DH now, baby.
Congratulations, man. I hope he does. Bring him back. All right, real quick. Let's go over some of the stuff that has happened in Major League Baseball the last few days. Carlos Rodon. He is going to the San Francisco Giants. He was about the biggest pitcher left on the market. There's several bats available still, but he was about the only pitcher left. I know several teams had been wanting his services, but he is going to San Francisco. Yes.
Giants also signed Carlos Martinez.
I did see that, yes, and Carlos Martinez as well. So former Cardinal great is going to San Francisco. Clayton, and I didn't see this come across Twitter, but I was looking at the transaction page. Apparently, Clayton Kershaw signed.
It was early.
With the Dodgers. So
yeah, it was one of the first ones.
He is not leaving. They thought he might end up in Arlington with the Rangers, because that's where he's from. That's where he lives in the offseason. But he's staying with the Dodgers. That's pretty much all from free agency so far. I mean, a bunch of these guys: Correa, Freeman, Bryant,
Story.
Story. Like, there's a bunch of free agents that haven't signed yet. But the trade market, holy moly! The last couple of days, this has been nuts. So let's just go over
a lot of people said this is how it would be, though, because the free agent market was a little bit watered down. So a lot of teams were going the trade route.
Yes. Theme here. There's a few teams that are kind of mentioned several times. You can tell who's selling, who's buying. So the first big one, the Mets got Chris Bassett from the Oakland A's. He's a starting pitcher that'll fit great into their already loaded starting rotation. So if they can stay healthy, that Mets rotation is filthy. So he slides in easily to like the number 4 slot, but he'd be like a number 2 on just about any other team. So he goes to the Mets from Oakland. And then this was a fun one. On Saturday, the Twins got Isaiah Kiner Falefa, and Ronnie Hernandez for Mitch Garver. So basically, the Twins
and Rangers.
The Twins had a lot of catchers, so they sent one of them to the Rangers for an infielder because the Rangers had a lot of infielders. I think that Kiner Falefa was told he was going to be their third baseman in Texas, and then he was traded on Saturday to the Twins. So now he's thinking he's going to be the Twins shortstop, third baseman, something like that. Then on Sunday, the Twins send him and Josh Donaldson and another catcher to the Yankees for Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela. So he has now been traded twice over the course of the last 2 days. So good for him. I saw he posted a TikTok of him shaving off his beard. I hate the Yankees. I absolutely hate the Yankees that they make people do that. Not that his beard was quite the, something like Clint Frazier and all of his hair, but it still frustrates me. So Isaiah Kiner Falefa has been traded twice in the last 48 hours. Started the weekend on the Rangers, went to the Twins, and now he's a New York Yankee. The big one today, well, there's been two, but the really big one today, which signaled several things. Matt Olson, first baseman for the A's, is now going to the Atlanta Braves to be their first baseman, signaling the end of the Freddie Freeman era. I guess unless they're going to bring one of them into DH, which I guess is on the table, but I can't imagine that happening now. Looks like the end of the Freddie Freeman era in Atlanta is over now that Matt Olson is there. I'm not shocked by the Freddie Freeman thing. It just sucks that he's a legend. He's 30 years old and he's a legend in that city. Got him a World Series ring, one of the best first basemen in all of baseball. All he wanted was 6 years, and they didn't want to commit to that. So
that's a bad look on the ownership as far as fans go.
Yeah,
because he is beloved. I don't know how you let Freddie Freeman walk.
I don't know. I mean, they didn't want to pay him, but they gave up some hot shot prospects for Matt Olson. Matt Olson's a great first baseman. I mean, he is easily going to fill the shoes of Freddie Freeman, but it's hard to replace a legend like that. That just seems odd. So yeah, the A's got back Shea Langoliers, who's a catcher from the Braves, Christian Pache, who's an outfielder, and then a couple pitchers. And then the other deal that happened later today, while you were probably sleeping, was the Reds continue to sell off. They shipped out now Jesse Winker and Eugenio Suarez to the Mariners for slightly more than a grab bag of prospects. Justin Dunn, Brandon Williamson, and Jake Fraley. Justin Dunn is a pitcher. Jake Fraley's an outfielder. I'm not positive about Brandon Williamson. I think he's a pitcher.
Good for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for us. The Reds don't really seem to want to compete, and the Pirates suck. So that pretty much
one you don't have on here, Sonny Gray.
Oh yeah, see that one? There was no report on that. Did you notice
Sonny Gray traded to the Twins?
There was no report on that. The Reds just dropped that. Like Rosenthal, Jeff Passett, nobody had that. Like usually they report these things, and the Reds just slid it in through their Twitter that they were trading Sonny Gray. Where did he end up going? I
think Minnesota.
Is that right?
I think.
Okay, whatever. Sonny, yeah, they shipped out Sonny Gray too. So poor Joey Votto. Joey Votto is all that's left.
Isn't he one of your favorite players?
I love Joey Votto. Poor guy though. He is just just him and
Reds offseason from Ken Rosenthal 1 hour ago. They lose Wade Miley on waivers.
That was they
saved them $10 million.
They got punked. They got punked by the Cubs is what they did. But go on.
They trade Sonny Gray to the Twins for 2 prospects to save $10 million. And then trade Jesse Winker and Eugenio Suarez to Mariners for 4 young players, save about $40 million. So they've saved $60 million.
They're shelling money right and left. I was texting my dad about it. He hadn't even seen it yet.
Tickets to the Reds games in Cincinnati will be a lot cheaper now.
They were
to watch the Cubs
cheap.
And Cardinals.
They were already cheap.
I'm excited to go there, though. I haven't been to Great American. I'm excited to go.
Great ballpark. Oh, yeah, you're really close to there. It's a beautiful ballpark. Some people say it's like...
We talked about this when I first moved down here.
I really like it. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the Reds are selling off everybody. Joey Votto's about all that's left there, him and Mike Moustakas. The Mariners wanted Winker.
They're not going to sign Castellanos either.
No.
So they're going to lose him.
Yep. So... But the big part of that deal was Suarez was getting paid a lot of money. So the Mariners are eating that whole contract, and he's been pretty bad the last couple of seasons. Yep. He was one of the best third basemen in baseball for a few years.
Helped me win a fantasy baseball championship.
Congratulations. But he has been awful the past couple of seasons. They tried to play him at shortstop when they didn't have a shortstop, and it's been a mess. So maybe they can turn it around, or he can turn around in Seattle. But that also tells me that they're out of the Chris Bryant sweepstakes. If Seattle's already adding another outfielder and another third baseman.
That's true.
And I thought they were a favorite to sign Chris Bryant. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I think I saw that Bryce Harper was campaigning and trying to get his boy Chris to come out to Philadelphia to play with him. And you talked about it. The Rockies apparently are in on Chris Bryant, which doesn't make any sense to me. But whatever. So yeah, that's been the free agency, trading, all that stuff from baseball. The other big news out of baseball today was that Fernando Tatis has a fractured Fernando Tatis Jr., excuse me, not his father who played in the 90s, suffered a fractured wrist in what he thinks, he doesn't actually know apparently, but he thinks it was from a motorcycle accident that he's got in December. Could miss up to 3 months for this. And I think I saw something that reported that somebody asked him about the crash, and his response was something like, which one? So apparently this is not the first time that Fernando Tatis Jr. has wrecked his bike. But yes, he is now going to miss potentially up to 3 months of the season with that. So that is not good for the Padres. I assume they're going to be in the market for somebody now because they got a good team. But they're going to need another bat if they're going to try to contend if he's not going to be around for a while.
I also saw that they were extensively shopping Eric Hosmer and Will Myers.
They're trying to get rid of those contracts. Yeah. So we'll see. I know the Cubs have been the Cubs need to do something. The Cubs did sign Andrelton Simmons.
Got your shortstop.
Got the glove first shortstop. Yes, that was something to check off on the list. I don't know what that means. My initial thought was, okay, I guess this takes us out of the Carlos Correa business. I don't think he was ever going to the Cubs. Sounds like he's going to stick with Houston. He was just trying to bargain more money and more years. I don't know what the Cubs are going to do. I mean, part of me thinks they'll punt on this year and try for next year, but like you also just signed Marcus Stroman. So that kind of tells me that they want to compete, but who knows? Jed Hoyer said today that they are going to add players. I don't remember. No. Craig, that was so long ago.
Was it multi-year?
I forgot David Ross was the manager. Yes, it's multi-year.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I like Stroman. I like Stroman a lot. I have him in one of my fantasy leagues. I have him. It's the one that has the contracts and salary cap and all that one that's really complicated and you run like an actual team. I have him on the cheapest contract that you can have. He's 10 cents on our contract. And Aaron Bennett, I'll shout you out. I don't know if you're listening to this episode. Aaron says I shouldn't keep him, but because because he's not going to get a lot of wins or Ks. He's only an ERA guy. I was like, well, but he's cheap. True. He's 10 cents. And sometimes you just need the ERA guys to level your team ERA out. So
Stroman was a 3-year, $71 million deal with opt-outs after the second season.
Is he 30, 31 maybe?
Yeah, something like
that.
Yeah.
But I saw the Cubs were linked to the Japanese guy.
The Cubs have been linked to a lot of people. The Cubs were also linked to.
You know who else the Cubs are linked to? Chelsea Football Club.
Yeah. Well.
Oh God.
How do you feel about that?
I hate it. I stay away. But I'm sure I'm in the same camp as all Cubs fans. Bless you. I'm sure I'm in the camp of all Cubs fans of you said you were broke. How do you have $2.5 billion to go buy Chelsea?
I don't know. The Cubs were apparently, I think, according to John Heyman, in the mix on Freddie Freeman too, but like that's not happening. So
it makes sense though.
Sure.
You don't have a first baseman.
Bite your tongue. Frank Schwindel is the Cubs' first baseman. He had a huge outbreak this year.
Last year.
I don't know. Whenever that season was. I don't know what the Cubs are doing, but whatever. Plenty has happened in baseball. Also, other baseball thing, they did announce part of the agreement was that they're going to instill some experimental rules in the minor leagues, see how they do, and work their way up. So those rules that they will be working out in the minors are a pitch timer, larger bases, defensive pitch positioning, essentially banning the shift.
Love it.
Which I do. And then automated ball strike, which also
I don't think that'll ever
robo humps.
I don't know. Yes, I did want to touch on this though, because we talk about the CBA all the time, but there's always stuff that goes into a CBA that we don't like realize, stuff like that. So I have a list from CBS of 10 important under the radar changes to the CBA that I want to go. I haven't read this, so I'm like reading it live for both of us here.
Oh, okay, great.
So number 1, no more rotating interleague play. So you'll play 56 games within your division, 60 games against the rest of your league, 4 games against rivals, and then 42 other interleague games, I guess. That starts in 2023. So it sounds like you're playing, there's going to be 42 other interleague games. So you're playing a lot more interleague.
Oh, I see what you mean.
I'm assuming because both teams play by the same rules as the DH, that you're going to play a lot.
Right. That makes sense.
So the scheduling is changing. There is no more game 163 tiebreakers. All ties will be broken mathematically. What do you feel about that?
Say that again.
There will be no game 163 tiebreakers. So if two teams are tied for the last wild card spot at the end of the year, They won't play another game. They'll have tiebreakers in place.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I am too.
I like the drama of the 163, but I think it's kind of ridiculous.
Yep.
Just kind of like the one game wild card thing is ridiculous too.
Yep. The third one here, more games in other countries, which I had seen. They want to go back to London. The Cardinals and Cubs were supposed to be the London game in 2020 before the season got cut short. So more of those in other countries. The trade deadline is changing. The trade deadline is going to rotate dates each year. It's not a set date. It's always been July 31st. It's now going to be anywhere during that week, I think. Schedule the trade deadline anytime between July 28th and August 3rd.
Wonder what the reasoning behind that is.
It would make sense to push the trade deadline to August 3rd this year, given the delayed start of the season following the lockout. July 31st is a Sunday anyway. So I think it's just like they're going to figure out what the best day is, and that's going to be the trade deadline instead of keeping it the same. This is another big one. New draft. There's going to be a draft lottery.
Yeah.
All 18 non-playoff clubs will enter a lottery for the top 6 picks. The percentage chances of each team getting the number 1 choice in reverse order of winning percentage. So the worst 3 teams have a 16.5% chance, and it goes down all the way to the 18th team has a 0.23% chance. So doing what the NBA does, trying to combat tanking and all that stuff. MLB also adopted an NFL-style draft order in which postseason teams draft in order of finish. They used to go by regular season standings. So now if the worst team that gets in the playoffs wins the World Series, they get the last pick. Next on the list, I don't know what this means. Draft and follows return. I don't know what that is. Higher minor league minimum salary is something that was a hot topic in the CBA. As part of the new CBA, the MLB minimum salary rose from $570,500 to $700,000 this year. It's the largest minimum salary increase in the first year of a new CBA in MLB history. So that's huge and something that they really wanted to pursue here. New option limits, meaning times you can get sent up and down. There are new waiver rules for picking up players. And the last one, emerging countries in an international draft. This became a hot button issue. Remember, like the last 3 or 4 days of this, the international draft became a hot button issue, whereas you could just sign international players at will. Like you had a international player pool of money you could spend on international players, but now eventually there's going to be an international draft. I don't know that that's set in stone yet. I think they just kind of came to a tentative thing to get the players on the field this year. And if it's not working by, I think, the middle of this season, then they're going to be like, all right, we need to fix this or whatever. So yeah. All right. I just wanted to read through that, but
I'm just glad they're addressing the things they need to change.
Yeah.
I just feel like baseball has just always been behind the times and addressing that stuff. And I'm glad they're finally doing something about it. So
I don't want to spend too much time on it, but the shift.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I don't like the shift. My only concern has been, I understand how they're going to do it. And like, that's the only logical way to do it. But like, I don't like them also like telling guys where they can stand. Like, I don't know that I love that either. It's kind of like some of the stuff in basketball. Like, again, I get rules are in place for a reason. And as I said, I don't like the shift. But I've just had an issue with telling guys like where they can and can't stand to play defense. That's been my biggest thing, but I'm glad that they're going to get away from it, because I think it's ruined the game more or less. It might be a harsh word, but I don't think it's helped the game. It's taught players at young ages to slap and to, like, I don't know, just like go out there and hit. Like what are we doing? Why do we have to have 4 guys on the left side of the field? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. But if they're fine with doing it, I'm okay with it.
Have you seen the specifics?
the rules that 4 guys have to be on the infield at one time.
4 guys on the infield.
Minimum of 4 guys, and 2 have to be on each side of second base.
Yep.
Which
I think that's the smart way to do it.
Yeah, that's how you have to do it.
It'll stop that third baseman from going over to play second base, and then the second baseman's halfway between center or right field and second base. Yeah. I'm down. I'm down. I've hated the shift for years, so I like the change.
I'm with you. All right, we're pushing runtime here, so let's kind of breeze through some things here. We are a couple of broadcasting geeks at our core, so I think, at least for me personally, this whole broadcaster transfer portal has been kind of interesting. Joe Buck, well, first it was Troy Aikman leaving Fox to go to ESPN, and then Joe Buck followed him. So Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, who have been working together on Fox broadcasts for several years, are now moving to ESPN to do Monday Night Football, which will certainly help ESPN. Monday Night Football has been atrocious. It's not really the fault of the broadcasting pairs. I know they tried several in the booth, Steve Levy and whoever has been there with him. They've been fine, but they don't bring much to the table in terms of spectacle. I
liked Louis Riddick, but I think he would tend to go to like his front office stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where he belongs. And he would tend to start talking about stuff that really didn't impact the game on the field. But I do love Louis Riddick. I just don't think a booth is where he belongs.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. What is your stance on Joe Buck? He is a very polarizing figure.
Love him.
A lot of people love him. A lot of people hate him. I know because you're a St. Louis guy, maybe you feel more inclined. But I've even heard St. Louis fans that act like he doesn't favor St. Louis. So,
I don't get the hate. I think he's one of the best in the business. I really do think he's one of the best in the business. So I don't get it. I think ESPN got one of the top 3 football play-by-play guys.
I agree. My response to this really had nothing to do with football. I was just shocked that Joe Buck is giving up the World Series. I have not seen anything that says that they're going to keep him in that spot. I think he is leaving Fox and he was done with Fox.
Okay.
I thought that might have been on the table, but it sounds like he is done with Fox.
A-Rod did ESPN and Fox stuff.
I know,
for baseball, right?
And it could be, but everything that I've seen does not say that. So I guess it still could still currently be on the table, but I don't think that's happening. So that's what I found to be the hardest thing to believe, was that he was going to give up the World Series, because I just didn't think that would ever happen. I didn't think Joe Buck would ever give up calling the World Series. So that's the biggest thing for me. Obviously I watch a lot of football, but was my takeaway. Was I'm a big baseball guy, and Joe Buck is the voice of postseason baseball to me. So
Vin Scully,
he's a little old.
He can do the World Series. He can do 7 games a year.
I want them to give it to Bob Costas, personally. I want to bring Bob Costas in, let him do it for a few years before he retires, and call it a day. That's what I would prefer.
Is this the time that Fox brings Benetti in?
No, I think they'll go internally. I think it's going to be Joe Davis. I think he's kind of. I mean, he's been waiting in the wings for the baseball job. I just didn't think it would ever actually happen.
Yeah.
They could go externally. I mean, they could certainly go after somebody like a Dan Schulman or a Matt Vasgersian, or I don't think Benetti's ready for that yet.
Yeah.
I love Benetti, but I don't think that's his bag yet. I think they'll probably, I don't know, unless they want to go after Al Michaels for football, which I don't know what they're going to do. It sounds like Michaels is going to go to Amazon. He thought he was going to be working with Troy Aikman. Now it sounds like maybe Kirk Herbstreit will be on the Thursday Night Football calls with Al Michaels.
Before we move away from Monday Night Football, let me ask you this.
Yes.
Monday, September 13th rolls around. I don't know if that's Monday night, but a Monday in September or October rolls around. Are you tuning into ESPN for Aikman and Buck, or are you tuning into ESPN2 for Peyton and Eli?
I think I would
tough
probably.
Question, right?
it would depend on what I'm looking for and what the matchup is and what I'm looking to get out of it.
Yeah.
For entertainment value, Peyton and Eli, 100%.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll go with. Christy actually likes watching that broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy doing that. They're a lot of fun, and they have interviews and things. It's just different.
Yeah.
That's why I think I thought this whole thing was strange.
Did you see Michigan State is doing their Manning cast for their NCAA tournament? That's smart.
Yeah, with football players.
Yeah.
So yeah, this whole thing has just been kind of gone pretty quickly.
I do want to say this though, for any networks that have openings, we are available.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Fox execs or ESPN execs.
No one asked us. Craig
we
has
play-by-play
experience with Murfreesboro Red Devil football. And I did some Danville.
It doesn't matter that it was 12 years ago. It doesn't matter that it was 12 years ago.
No one cares. But yeah, so it's just been kind of fun to watch this stuff. I like to see how these dominoes kind of fall. But yeah, the World Series thing was kind of the thing that shocked me the most. Joe Buck has been the voice, let alone, I mean, the football thing is one thing because the Super Bowl rotates every year. So it's been, different people doing that, but he has been the voice of baseball for nearly my entire lifetime. So that was the biggest shock for me. So we'll see what they do. As I said, I would like to see it go to Bob Costas. I think I could see them signing Al Michaels to do football and Bob Costas to do baseball. But I don't think that's what they're going to do. They'll probably go in-house and just promote Joe Davis, which is fine. Joe Davis is great. I don't like that Joe Davis and Casey Jacobson have been calling college basketball games from a remote location in Los Angeles when they're broadcasting games in Champaign. Let's get past that. They were doing that for the Illinois-Iowa game on Sunday. The last game of the season, huge game, conference implications on the line, and you're not even sending anybody. You're broadcasting the game from a studio from somebody's bedroom in LA. I understand in 2020 doing that. Yeah, it was a pandemic, but you don't want to pay it. It's just dumb. Over it. Okay, move on. Anything else in the world of sports we need to talk about? We've been doing this for a long time.
Are you over it though? It doesn't sound like you're over it.
No, it's dumb.
But let's move on. Yeah, we have been going a while.
It's dumb. Real quick, movies. I did watch one movie this weekend. I did not see the second that I wanted to get to. The Adam Project, the new Ryan Reynolds movie. Pretty entertaining. Not the best movie in the world. It's on Netflix.
I just saw it.
It's a Netflix movie. Ryan Reynolds, directed by Sean Levy, who also directed Free Guy, who is also going to be directing the new Deadpool 3, which raises some concerns for me and several other people. That's a conversation for a different day. Adam Project, entertaining time travel movie. Ryan Reynolds, kid, and the kid in it plays a younger version of him. Hysterical. He gets Ryan's mannerisms down to a T. This kid also memorized all of Deadpool 2 or one of the Deadpool movies. There's a video on Twitter I saw of him reciting this whole scene in Deadpool, and Reynolds is just recording this whole thing. It's hysterical. Fun movie, nothing special. But it's out there. It's on Netflix. Check that out. Pixar's Turning Red also came out. It's on Disney Plus. I have not seen that movie yet. I will hope to see it soon, but probably not this week because I'm super busy.
Is it Turning Red or Red?
Turning Red.
Okay.
I wrote Scene.
You wrote Scene Red.
It's Turning Red.
Okay.
Disney Pixar's Turning Red. I've heard positive things, but I've also tried to avoid the discourse because there has been some discourse, and I don't want to be ruined when I actually see the movie, whenever that is. But I got a lot going on this week, so I may not get to it until who knows when. Anything else? Do we need to open up the new segment of the show? Craig hates everything. You have anything you want to bitch about on the show before we sign off?
The Masked Singer started Wednesday, and I think a guy that we talked about during the show is on there.
Well, the name that I heard is not somebody that we've talked about on this show, but
he is on there. Yeah, he is on there. He hasn't been unveiled yet. I don't think he's been on the show yet or sang yet.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
Oh, how do you know who I'm talking about? If you haven't seen this,
I thought it was in the tabloids. I think are his initials RG?
No.
Oh well, no, never mind.
Who are you talking about that was revealed?
So he wasn't revealed on the show, but there have been articles that 2 of the judges stormed off when he took his mask off. So apparently Rudy Giuliani is on this season. and when he gets unmasked, Ken Jeong and Robin Thicke storm off.
I did not see that.
So That's coming, but that's not who I'm talking about. One of the contestants, wears the Ram. He's the Ram on this season. I believe is someone we talked about on this show.
Who is that?
It's been within the last 15 minutes.
Troy Aikman?
Close.
Joe Buck?
I'm almost positive it's Joe Buck.
Really?
If you can find the Masked Singer streaming, I think he's the last person to sing. Go watch it and tell me that's not him talking. I couldn't tell when he was singing, but at the end when he's talking to him, they try to mask their voice, of course, even when they're talking. The cadence sounds like Joe Buck, and the clues. There was one clue that said "following in my father's footsteps." There's a ton of football references. I'm pretty sure it's Joe Buck.
Okay, I'll have to go back and check that out. That's great.
You saw someone else that's on this season?
Allison mentioned somebody to me that we watch that I don't know if you would know who this person is.
Is it Cake Boss or Cake Guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was unmasked this week. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Duff. That's who she had mentioned to me.
Okay. Yes. He was on the season premiere.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Did not get that one right. I thought it was Steve Aoki.
Oh, that's
because
not Duff.
They showed a cake and someone put their face in a cake. And I was like, oh, Steve Aoki throws cakes at his concerts. That's Steve Aoki.
Not the same. Not the same thing. That's wonderful. All right, Craig. Do you have anything else? Nothing left to say? Nothing left to chime in on? Nothing left to bitch about? Craig hates everything. That's the new name of the segment.
At this point next week, when we're recording our weekly episode, will Illinois still be playing basketball?
Yes.
There we go. I like it.
Yes. All right. Let's go ahead and shut this down. Yes, I do believe Illinois will still be playing. I think they'll beat Chattanooga and Houston or UAB. I'm just confident. I don't want to be because last year I was heartbroken, but I'm just confident. I think they got what it takes. All right. That's going to do it for us. Coming up this week, we will do a post-game show Friday after the Illini game, win or lose against Chattanooga. Hopefully they win. And then the plan will also be to do one on Sunday. I will be traveling, so we will see what sort of setup I have, what sort of internet. You're knows?
Traveling Sunday?
No, I'm not on the road. I'm just out of town.
Okay.
I will not be in this studio.
Okay.
Studio. I'm in a freaking bedroom. I will not be here, so we will be doing our show. However, the Monday we will not do a show on Monday because I will be traveling on Monday. So the show, our full show that we do next week, will have to be recorded on Tuesday at least. So keep that in mind for you and for anybody else out there who cares. But either way, there will definitely be a show for you on Friday and then hopefully on Sunday as well. And then another show later next week and all that stuff. I think that's going to do it for us. Don't forget, give us a follow on all of our social media on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a share. Tell all your friends. Follow us on Facebook. I already said that, but do it anyway. We just launched that page. We already got quite a few followers on there. So if you're listening from that, give us a like on this YouTube page because that would be swell. Looking to get those subscribers numbers up as well. That's going to do it for us. This has been No One Asked Us. He's Craig Schote. I'm Logan Lee. We'll see you on Friday after the Illini game against Chattanooga. Go Illini.